Good morning. Or whatever it is, wherever you are. So we've got, this is going to be more of a data cleanup thing. Other thing that I was just noticing is that it looks like we did not get proper timestamps for the monuments. Now, I think I was mainly looking for dates originally, so that may have just been something I didn't wasn't worrying about at the time. But I was interested if there was a particular time distribution when monuments tended to get made. And I didn't really have timestamps. Yeah, so they're all at that. So this might be a parsing issue. Actually, you're in a different project. Do I have that open right now? I do not. You're going to be set up to iterate through all of them. Let's load each path. Well, that's really hard to interpret. But it is a date object, so that might have to be a date time. Date.parse, yeah. (1532:08) 43622. Okay, so this is actually just a parsing error. So that much is easy. What's a little bit harder is that we need some sort of like reset. Now monuments fetch. This is skip if exists. I could do a little one-off thing that updates the date. But especially for this one, it's just easier to reset. So we don't really care about the before. Oh, because I do need to be able to run this on my other system. Well, that system is going to have to import it remotely, so I guess it won't be too bad to do it here either, because it's pretty much a full download if you're checking or if you're doing a full reload. Okay, here all we've got open right now. All right. And now we've got actual dates. So what I wanted to do with this originally was something like that. Can I do something? Is that, well, you know what? Ruby can still, still has a group by, right? It's not really a group by. That is 2 level, and then we want to map that over. Well, it's a set of arrays. It's a set of hashes. No, I still need both. Our dates. Right, so it still returns itself. And we really want to order by count, I guess. I see a lot of 15s. So that at least gets us an hour order. 11, 26, 21, 12, 20. Yeah, so it looks like it's mostly evening, if there's any pattern to it. Anyway, that was just kind of curiosity. Alright, so that is partly a fix. Rake. So you need to go back to here. Oh, that means it needs to be committed first. Oh, and I don't need that print anymore. No, you. Oh, and I had to do some null protection. I forgot about that. Parse monuments with date time. All right, and you have to be updated to get their new hash. I think I had some leftover. The epochs probably aren't going to be an issue, but I don't mind tracking that. Monument reset. All right. So that's taken care of. I want one of you for the server. Oh, another minor thing. I was thinking I would need these for the tasks, but the tasks are just commands. They're not actual... Oop. Do I need the dump file? I don't really need the local dump file. Because I finally did get something on a server. Still need to do a little bit more to make it live, so hopefully some of the search cleanup will take care of that. Product file not used in scheduled tasks. So, okay, server up. I might as well grab this because I'm going to use it later. So one of the things I did is I did lives. And default to doing a lot of results. I probably want to have a smaller default limit and then extend it with the mask. Oh, and there's this garbage. So I want to know why are we even getting... Well, it might be all deaths. So what does this look like? Well, I know what query it's doing, right? Oh, that's an active record thing. I mean, I can still go into that, but for development, at least... Loggers. Logger. Wasn't there another way to do it? That is something about directly attaching. or DB loggers. Is that stand out? Development. No, not development log. Which is already quite large, apparently. Huh, I thought Vim handled large files better than this. Yeah, I might want to reset that. Oh, because you're trying to load it. Well, we'll get a new window. Are you outputting this? Apparently. Development RB. Active support appreciation. Database queries. No, nothing here. Now, I guess I could just put log in here, but this lets us connect it either way. Are initializers before or after? You could also do it RB. And it should... Okay. Watch of active record. Did you not exit? Okay. So that might not actually go like oh. Okay, so this is before. Yep. So how do we test? Rails.env. About. There's yeah, you saw that. Um, hmm. Select cast, server version number. Order by birth time, desk limit. Okay, so this is getting all the death only records, which if we're looking for births in the current version of this, that might be a thing we have to update. But I probably need to have a different default limit. So what's our typical 48-hour query? Well, that's still pretty big too. Okay, a little bit of log lag there. Okay, that says if we have a birth time, we do not know. Well, I mean, that sort of makes sense, but we're only returning birth stuff right now. So it's really... Oh, and we're ordering by it. Okay, and then limit. Oh, I wanted to know, does that say how many it returned? So that's tens of thousands. So our default would be, so if that's 11, they already went one up from there, which was kind of insane. Probably a big day could be more than that, but maybe that query needs to allow something more. All right, so if we did a fully unqualified query, did we crash at some point and not trigger reloading? Or is it not triggering reloading on services in general? So are you... Oh, well, okay. It's definitely thinking. Rails, auto load. Invalid pass. Okay, now it gets hammered. So that's startup. Oh, okay, so it does reload it. Oof. And that is not nil. That's still a big old chunk of data. Well, for one thing, well, right now, so this is a generic search method, which is nice because we've got a lot of parameters we need to interpret. But it then grabs everything. For our current application, we don't need everything. We need XY time chain lineage. So I might have to return a query from here. That's putting stuff in two places. That's still also kind of a duplicate. Other than the formatting stuff, could almost do some reuse there. Okay, and I got that in the wrong object. This needs to be a self method. Field point presenter. Okay, we like doubled this somehow. Didn't I remove the nils? Okay, so that was from before. Select from lives. Birth time is not nil. So do we have birth time zeros in there? Well, All right. Aggregate functions. Dataset.min. SQL functions. That be select. Well, how do we do, because that's just a symbol. SQL.lit. Oh, I dropped out of console. No, that would definitely not be times 0. Okay, so you're probably actually nil. So how are you surviving? Birth time is not null. Uh, yes, there's definitely some there. And no, I lost the SQL syntax for that. SQL not, but we... Birth time is not nil. How you do that? Where SQL not? You kindly... You would not kindly... Okay, well now we're just broken the console. I guess the answer to that might have been parenthesis. Oh, and the logger's working here as well. Where birth time is not null. What the heck? Wait a minute. Why is controller? Why would I still be getting back one result per? Because you might still have to do an all. But why am I still getting back all those entries? Nope, that's not it. What the heck? Well, maybe it's not reloading. Nope, that's not it. What the heck? Alright, DB lives, where not equal to nil, order by limit. What the heck? I'd swear this used to work. For actual command line editing. And I don't even get prompts in the other window. Is it maybe not like the way that we changed the size? I mean, that was for a bit. Well, really, one of these should be sufficient for proof of concept. You see, that's actual data. We've got, that's an actual, which is this right now? This is completely unfiltered. So why is this query giving us valid data and this query giving us invalid data? I mean, different limit. Well, I'm seeing the... No. All right, let's cut this down for speed of execution. I guess I gotta just pass limit. Select blah 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 from lives where birth time is not null. It's just ignoring it. Arguably, this isn't needed right now. Oh. Wait. Oh, the format changes when you do a select. Okay. So that's not pure optimization then. So the funny thing is, well, other than turning birth time into an integer, well, and it was row. Now, is it possible? Oh, wait. Okay, then that's row. Is it possible you do arbitrary parameters? Okay, it's because they passed an array. Can you splat that, though? No, I didn't want you. Okay. Well, actually, we can test that here to an extent. Okay. All right, that's better. But it's a thing that will not fail on a simple mistake. Well, I guess it works for now. Do we have anything else that we were hacking in there? Changed our limit. All right, so what is this? Okay, and a lot of the rest is formatting. And it's still a second. All right, well, this is an unqualified query, which is not going to be the typical one. Normally we do that, which is a little bit better, but still pretty big. All right, well, we implemented a limit. Only current fields. Limit parameter. Okay, it's not in the cheat sheet. I think I actually had found that in dataset. No. Postgres dataset methods. As a string. Well, we've got something pretty close here. Birth time, it was chain and lineage. And where server ID is 17 and oh, I need to redo how I'm doing this as well. Period from last record. Live search. But for comparison purposes, think we need the context of a full where statement. Is this default to seconds? This, yeah, it's a little bit better. Where do you start? That's where we lost the prompt. Okay. Okay, so there's the actual statement. Explain, analyze. Index cond. Birth time, birth time. That's index. I'm pretty sure we did an index on that. Planning time, execution time. Bitmap index scan. Index lives on birth time. Actual time. Is that seconds or milliseconds? Because that's like 6. I know it didn't take like 6 to 9 seconds. Or maybe... Oh no, milliseconds. So the database is fine here. Alright, time to pull out some Ruby timing stuff. Maybe it's all JSON formatting. Well, I mean, that's... Right now I just want to break down the steps. Benchmark. So mods part of the standard libraries. Benchmark.measure returns a time. Well, that's a slightly different thing. Okay, so we've got... and you are going to have to do a separate step. And that puts us inside of a box. Oh, but that hasn't called the JSON method yet, or in the internal rendering. Maybe we just do it twice then. Oh, actually this is a map. I mean, really, it's the entire thing. Maybe it should be looking more like a metrics type thing. Might make it a little bit easier. $798 milliseconds. Wrap took nothing. So JSON is just a hash. So is it actually generating and sending the string? Which would be... Is it generate? I'm getting a little bit of lag in the second report. There's not really a whole lot there. Oh, no, wait. 800... Oh, okay. No. That actually is... So wait, why does this query take that much time? And this query take 10 milliseconds. Well, it's to print a bunch of stuff. Oh, maybe the database takes that long. And then we have to interpret the results and wrap it back. Well, that would be where something more like profiling might... Okay, particular segments of code. Start, stop. Well, that might be over detailed right now. All right, were there any effective changes? I was looking at, oh yeah, to get the same results, I need to do similar windowing to that. Which is another database query, but a simple one. DB lives dot max. Well, it's birth time or death time, but probably birth time is going to be close enough. And hopefully this should not be a terribly slow query. So instead of time.now, excuse me. Which, I mean, should actually return more. So that was 113375. $11,790. Okay. Now the other thing about this is that right now this is like a super compact format. I think I might want to do like a protocol buffer or something. I may want to switch up to something a little bit easier to interpret as one option. Actually, that is already kind of effects. Period from last record, notes. All right, so we got that. I want possibly. Should I keep you around? Just in case. All right, so now we want this. We still need fields. Well, that's pretty much props. And I guess we should, in general, have a way to query stuff. Oh. But then I have to reduplicate all this stuff. You do new. Birth X is duplicated because it's birth Y. And we could make this. Alright, hopefully that's not too terribly much larger. So if we're only doing birth stuff, in theory we could stop birth. Having a sub-object. I don't know if that would necessarily help anything. Oh. I mean, it is birth, but... And for a query that's just displaying some points as the result of a query. Well, I'm probably eventually going to want to be able to get data and then just do different displays on it. What's a note? It sort of goes in with that for the more optimized one. And we're going to want to develop So I've still got some data sets I'm doing with this stuff. Actually, this isn't the only place we do this, right? So there's other little random things. Oh, the monument list. Well, the monument list is a separate thing. Point overlay. Yeah, and then you do that. If I change format, that's going to be a big cutover. Well, the points are just hard to use, so we probably shouldn't do that. For miscellaneous things, I've still got some of this stuff. I should probably check if there's anything I want to checkpoint here. How much public is it? Okay, remove some stuff, change some URLs. For data printing back. So originally was just like XY points. Oop, that was a little bit too much. Four was lineage. I experimented with that as an option. So this is a really old one. That I sometimes do for my own stuff. Okay, so that's the date. Now, this is going to be harder to switch over to like death time or something because it's saying birth time. This is saying birth Y. So I might have to do some generification of that. Oh, this is monuments. We haven't done monuments yet. That's actually something we do need to do here. Monument, monument, monument. Point overlay. Oh. They were different point orders, so those aren't really something that's easily comparable. Okay, 0. It's birth X. 1 is birth Y. It's birth time. Birth Y. Birth X. Birth time. Fill style is based on the already converted lineage. Point 3 is chain. All right, so this is localhost. You know what I never checked out. Well, I could check if those look at the same results. We had server equals big server 2.1 hour. Okay, that is different. Oh, maybe it was server name, and that ended up being everything. No. All right, one thing at a time. Server ID. That seems like a pretty reasonable result. Okay. So I've got a couple things going on here. And you... Oh, I already did that. Okay. All right, so let me make sure I'm remembering this right. So one thing about this is that there is no like unrecognized parameter error. Okay, so it should be server name and server short. Actually, and this should tell us, well, server ID equals 17. That was that. So server name, oh, on hour. Okay, that looks familiar. And that was familiar. Okay. But if there's any... Probably we should... at least for the server name misspellings, or server ID... Oh. Okay. So that gives you no results at least. Server name equal blah blah blah. Yeah, that... Pluck ID first. Server ID equals... What is that resulting in? And server ID... Oh, that results in a nil. So it doesn't look like we have a field there. Well, if server name... How do we trigger a... ...404 from a parameter? It's Rails 3. Let's redirect to status. On routing error. Rails, well, it's not a routing error, really. Redirect if a record is found. Rescue. Oh, that's specifically an active record thing. I could set up errors on the search object and introspect them every time we use it. It's going to do the error catching anyway. Well, that might be more of a polish thing. Unknown and not found parameters. The other big thing we're missing right now is I don't think I have anything for monuments. Controller. This monument search isn't going to have a whole heck of a lot. But it probably makes sense. Oh. And we're going to have some sort of monument presenter, which is going to be a whole other thing. All right. So monuments. And we could probably figure out epochs from timestamps. Doesn't really make sense. I don't currently expect to need any per monument lookup stuff. Server ID might be something we want to generalize at some point. Period makes sense, limit makes sense. You're just date. I don't really expect that to be a issue. It really shouldn't be an issue. Now this one I don't necessarily want if we want to go to the last time. This be more of monument. You expect more of monuments than the last whatever. And limit. Well, there's total of almost 400 monuments now. For a given server, probably significantly less. Right now, I'm just returning them all. Will it ever get so large that that matters? Monuments. Point presenter. All right, now monuments. Yeah, so we're kind of assuming that you filtered by server ID. Yeah, so when we start enabling searching for other stuff, we're going to start including server ID, player ID, epoch. So I could actually request all monuments at once. And then sort them out into lists on the client end. The other thing we could do with that, well, I mean, that making it lazy would be a front-end thing in general, but I guess there's still a case for that. Yeah, because that would hammer on a bunch of requests on startup. So the fields we're returning right now are X, Y, and date. Monuments. I probably need to start making these more generic. So I don't have to do this every time. All right, so if we do server name, monuments controller, monument presenter. Uninitialized constant. Monument presenter. Okay, I messed up my Y somehow. Y prop, yep. Requested X twice. Okay. What's the query time on that? That's not terrible. All this is going to be a conversion of output format here. Now these change rarely enough. I might want to do for some of these things actually set this up to, as I import the data, just dump it out for like the default ones. Oh, except you were that one. Oh, you were doing that. So this was server short, essentially. That didn't help. But now we changed our format. probably do need to get this off to a proper JavaScript file at some point so the syntax highlighting doesn't get so confused. Okay, so that's a lot of queries, but it does seem to work. Actually, this is another thing for notes. Right now, static files for default queries, or just some kind of caching scheme. Kind of the same thing. Or actually, if I just did there's a couple things here. There is cache headers. There is upload static files. There is just a straight up request cache. Cache headers are probably, well, I'm gonna have to see if my CDN thing, I could specify very specific things that get cached based on that one source. Well, it's got a URL, so that would have to be like some sort of overlay on the other stuff. Well, then web requests to the main URL would go through the CDN for those default things. And then live queries could go directly to the data server. All right, so we have formatted and are able to return monuments. Driller presenter search. Don't really have much else in the way of search yet. And I may actually have to rebuild monuments at some point to support like having names and other data with them. And then monuments. Oh, this is actually going to update URLs this at some point. Once I get the actual server running, monuments with named keys. Oh, and I guess I didn't have monuments on here. So we've got our basic APIs. It still needs a lot of stuff. Am I going to have time to tackle error reporting? Yes, there's... Yes, there's a couple of those things. Just let me see, because I think I'm logged in right now. If I can reasonably get... No. So just the catalog. Oh, okay, that actually logged me out. Okay. Monitoring, logging, caching, errors and exceptions are my big thing. So I've heard of most of these names. I don't know one from the other. I've got a free plan, although it goes up rapidly from there. Data retention, error storage capacity, that's fine for my uses. I just want, like, if there's a recent error, I want to know. Data retention 7 days. Exceptions per month, yeah. Rate limit. I don't know if they just stopped storing them. Error retention. Well, that is pretty small. Rate limit per minute. 14 days is fine. Data retention 7, errors per minute. I don't know if any of them have particularly cheap next steps. I think I've seen somebody using that before. Log history 7 days, events per month. Among the smaller first steps. Actually, let me check. Do I have accounts with any of these? Although they might just operate through Heroku. I have 2 that are kind of for Airbrake that are part of other things. I think for Raygun, I think for Sentry, I think for Honey Badger. None of the others really ring a bell. Errors and exceptions. I would think I would have used them before. So Airbrake's been around for a while. I have used them in specific projects. Although they've got a pretty steep step and not great error retention. Who was that I looked at first? Was it Rollbar? Raygun? Yeah, 31 days retention. If I have that many errors, it's spamming, so I don't care. Although they've got a big first step. Well, I don't know if I'm ever going to need a full-on thing. So if I did have an intent to possibly upgrade, that seems to be one of the cheaper ones. 7 days is probably enough just to see I've had an issue. And I'm assuming that they can email me. Now, doing this right now could be a little bit interesting just because of key. Well, the actual account here would appear as a key on Heroku, and it's just a matter of how I set up and test it locally. Sentry Raven. Raven capture. We're not running, you'll need to manually specify that by calling out to Raven. So it just defaults production. But you have to specify, for other platforms. So in Rails, they automatically catch all exceptions. So that should just be an install. In production environment, it will capture. It will need, so this is the Heroku specific thing. This is still Heroku. I guess we need a specific platform. What does local setup look like? Gem Sentry Raven. Okay, so we need a DSN, which is probably what would have somewhere in there to actually report an error. But for the Heroku one, it looks pretty automatic. No, I might still need to call to it to capture stuff. So this is a task running in the Rails environment. Hopefully that means, well, yeah, that's what I want to test. Would it capture an exception in a task where I'm importing stuff? Because that's actually like the biggest thing I'm concerned about is the data import errors. All right, now they did have the thing for like 4 other platforms. Let's see, to actually capture it in the platform, I would need the DSN. Do you always have a free plan? Yeah, so I could just sign up. Users 1, history 30 days. Oh. I mean, it's still fine. Or Sentry. Rails rate tasks, Rails guide. Nope, I'm being drowned by this other stuff. Docs. Capturing events. Sentry capture. That's like a very platform specific thing. Oh. Is that blockable? Clients Ruby install, configuration, context, integrations Ruby on Rails. I guess it's going to default to some sort of environment variable. Params and sessions, user context, extra context. This is a per request thing. Custom exception app. Context, capture message, extra tags. Oh, so maybe to provide extra context, you would. Current actor. Index the aggregate. My problem is, when does this expire? Rack context. Represent the action and the event occurred during. Yeah, so this might be what we want, importing such and such file. I still don't know if it's going to fire automatically. Configuration. Atter async environments. Oh, as of v010. Okay, so if I do a local account, configure the DSN, I can test what happens if we just raise in a data import. Excluded exceptions. Let's report rescued exceptions. Control which events are captured. Sentry DSN. Okay, so that would be the env setup version. All right, so to test this locally, I've gotten completely off in the docs here. All right. Okay. Not seeing that as a generation opportunity. Optional. That. Okay, yeah. Password manager captured that. Install SDK, configuration. Is that the real thing? Looks like it could be a real thing. All right, so I want to grab you, get my end file, century DSN equals. Let me close that one. We do example env. Actually, we could be a little bit more targeted about this. All right, so it looks something like that. So we should be setting it by an end variable. Am I doing any application.rb? I don't, not really, it's all import data. Okay, nothing configuring there. Params and sessions. Set Raven context. Okay, so you could optionally set parameters for web requests. And that's just the default Raven integration. Okay, they don't really have a next step here. It's just sending your first event from the development environment, waiting for verification event. Okay. Maybe it tries to auto send one? Okay, well, how about import this is the one that's going to be hairier. So let's just make sure we don't hit any servers just in case. And we want to do Rails lives test. Oh, this needs to be environment though. So maybe I do want to have that proc file for. Now in Heroku, it will always be in the environment. Or do I need a procfile.dev? Bundle exec. Well, this is a test specific. Foreman run lives test in procfile.dev. No, I guess it's start and it exits? First event was received. Okay, and this also verifies that it captures events from data import. Wait, it captured it requires Rails commands? Okay, well that was poor error attribution, but okay. Oh, app only must mean app directly only. This is in lib. Environment default level error logger rake. Rake task. Okay. Transaction. Lives.rake. Import lives. Breadcrumbs? A trail of events which happened prior to an issue. Traditional logs. .record, crumb.data. It's more of a context thing, I think. User context, tags context, extra context, but these are... When does this... Oh, we said there was transactions occurred during. Context.transaction.push. So this would be... .push logs.server. So fetch. Oh, and we kind of ended up duplicating this. Set lineage. Probably not the most error prone. Load server is a particular log file. Importing cache path. And Now, you see the problem here is we've got a next. And it's in block form. Otherwise, when we get down here, load server, oh, and load log. Well, load names, load log. So that should be the same log file. Do log file. I guess this is the really gnarly stuff, but that should capture everything. Anything else I was printing here? Epoch information, deaths, births, names. Okay, that's a start. And then we come down here. Transaction. Importing cache path. So this is raise test. Oh, except we're not going to get past that next right now. Will we even get down there? Yes. A few seconds ago. The transaction is still lives test. It just lists them all. Yeah, I don't see where the transaction stuff is showing up. Additional data. So I guess I'm going to have to go look into like tags or something. I guess during this process, which is it's gonna run, it's gonna stop. That'll clear anything else out. Structured data. So extra context, tags context. Index and aggregate. I don't know if Is this additive? All right, so all the pops are not working so good for us. Which I guess means we can do this again. The extra context. They've already got a server name. Transaction. Well, this isn't necessarily a cache path anymore. Events. Oh, is this actually an error in... Nope, nope, test. Events? Oh, okay, that's... Okay, so those little things are features I don't have. Uh, 425, 429. Yeah, so none of this extra stuff is working. Tags? So I just did extra context. Well, no. Oh, no, okay, additional data. Okay, it's not in, okay, so those are tags. Runtime error. Well, let's start. Is that at the same level as tags? I wonder if the transaction stack was down there. No, okay. Get status. I suppose we should probably do something similar for monuments. So there's count. I guess it's only per log file, 'cause otherwise it's going to catch that it was doing the monuments task. Servers.each, monuments.each. This is actually going to be log file. And that's really all there is to it. Add. Okay, so what? Okay, still. I guess notes, and that's something we might want to build out over time as we run into instances where that matters. I think it should be already capturing web events. I'll only need to check my notification settings too. And we'll need to add that to our app. Okay. So the interface is sufficient for current applications. This might be an easy way to cut down some requests. Oh no, doesn't seem to be Rails specific. Well, unless maybe it was tagged Rails. HTTP browser cache, yeah. Now that's a redirect. That's not answered. Well, there's even Heroku specific. No other caching headers will each one result. Public resources can be cached. Oh, so this is not Rails specific. This is like what headers to set. Ruby Rails, use HTTP caching. Okay. I mean, HTTP caching is our first step. I might want to come back to that. Default includes the use of HTTP cache headers for the most basic scenarios. Asset pipeline. Rack etag. That's assets. Do not use a rack cache. Instead, use a CDN. In-memory storage. Memcache add-on. Time-based cache headers. Okay, so just expires in public true. Max age expires now. What I really want to say is I update currently at a certain time every day. So really, it is this. Okay, so this is for returning not modified. So my last modified for a collection of monuments is the newest date of the monument. For a particular life query, which we hope it includes the parameters. Although, don't query parameters break caching in general? Maybe that's only a server thing. That don't require custom execution handling. Yeah, updated at. So we have to set the header. Or does this automatically set the... Just sets the E tag and last modified since. Fresh when last modified. P4 not modified. So I might... Well, no, the select is after this. So this is like everything else we do, although that has an order on it. And then this is going to do a maximum. Oh, no, a max is still a max. So this would be like query. And this would be fresh when last modified. Lives dot max birth time. All right, we've gone back to you. Oh, is it too late to get? Yeah. Now that was an explicit reload command, so definitely gonna do the query. That was only 1 hour. Lives. Oh, no, not lives. Okay, so that's a 200. Now, are we returning the header? Response header, last modified 1300 GMT. Is that some double time offset stuff? Or is that right? Because if it's GMT, yeah, no, if it's GMT, it's that. I think I'm getting double timestamp issues. Because that is definitely on an hour. Or double time zone. Well, that is still a 200. Oh, but it gave me the old results while that's processing? Oh, it transferred cached. So this is something I have to disable during development. So this might be normally a production thing. It depends what I'm working on, I guess. But I did not like that timestamp. P. What are you coming out as? Double render error. Oh, so this is not... Oh, because this was doing the implicit render from that. So I need to know what the return value of this is. That's if stale. Expires in... oh, this is an old one. E-tag, wiki tag, last modified. Does this only apply to templates? And renders a 304 not modified if the request is already fresh. Does it have a return value? Dynamic queries. Yeah, but you're assuming default rendering. Maybe you have to do stale. Conditional gets is to use the stale check in your controller. Okay, so stale also has a last modified. If stale. So this should really be if stale. Okay, so that was a full-on refresh. That is cached in the browser, apparently. But my last modified is still Not good. And that is returning GMT. All right, so that is returning 617. Okay. I think what's happened is I need to redo all my timestamps. Our last one should be, Now you see, in the logs, those are Unix timestamps. That should be unambiguous. So I guess this kind of puts us back to data import side. Never really have got a load all test. Actually, this project did have a load one. Although it will pass because the file is not. Well, so we've got load log, load names. Load log. Which is going to try to do an actual insert. Right now, I just want to say I want to load one file. Which I guess really I should just go back to this. Lives load server, or something like this for the raw data. All right, life log, history. Life log cache. I'm not doing anything with the graph here. And do I even need to do servers? If I got my paths right, oh, but yeah, it's a little bit like lives rake. Good as anything. So don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Lives.load log file. Lives.first. Well, your first might actually be a death record. No, these have a time that is just any of them. Or whichever we have. Yep. Undefined local method cache. It can be default value here. History. Lives dot values. Okay, your time, and if we do a time dot at on that, we get, this is the first, which should be about the same. 1800 minus 6. Okay, that's time zone differences. So I guess when we move the log, when the logs are uploaded is not the same as, oh right, because it's a partial day and the last one. So if we want something really comparable here, we want our most recent one, June 17th, Monday. '06, June 17th, Monday. Okay, so we've got the time zone drift. Oh, those we're doing first. Last. Okay, so in my time zone, that's supposed to be 3 a.m. And since it is 5, that is exactly 10 hours off. So yeah, we're getting double time zone drift. And that's minus 5, so that would be 8. And then, yeah, okay. So what's in the database? Birth time. We need to know, that would be max birth time? (8 o'clock minus 5). So somewhere inserting this into the database. So what are we doing here? It's probably going to be all of my timestamps. Load names. We're doing a time dot at. And we've seen that time dot at of a loaded record appears to be properly time zoned. Oh, but what is it here? Okay, so we want to, okay, those are all the helper methods. This would be, so this is not, should not be running it in the Raven environment, so we can just abort. I want, or actually I don't even have to do this. We just want to load these. Which, actually, can we just... no, I already did a thing called test, unfortunately. So maybe I should rename those. Oop. Or do a separate thing that's like actually test. Oh, but you are actually going to need the cache. So this might have something to do, I think Rails might be doing something to the time environment. Oh, right, my other thing. Okay, no, that looks good. So we're getting double hit on the database, it looks like. It's like, all right, yeah. What's in the database? Yeah, what's in the database? Is 8 o'clock minus 5. So it's like we're... Man, I wish I knew what was going over the wire. db lives.insert birth time insert SQL. There'll be enough constraints when I actually do it, but values. 1201 minus 5. Could it be something in the bulk import? Right, oh, technically this is going through active record. All right, we need to do some reading. Rails active record database field time zone. By a non-Rails application, what's slightly different? Set the application's time zone. Rails assumes data is stored in the database is stored in UTC and converts config time zone to UTC. Active record default time zone. Well, this is... So we're going to have to do some very explicit... Well, unless I do it in pure SQL, but pure SQL is going to be harder to do in the task. Active record default time zone. Created that in Eastern. Being the specified time zone. So, oh, this is also being interpreted by a layer. Program files, no. Postgres 11 bin PSQL. Oh, nope, 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 nope. All right, select. Oh. So that was stored in UTC. Yep. UTF-8. And then it reinterpreted it as... So if it stored it that, you'd think it would reinterpret it as that, but... Date, time, types. Oh, timestamp, date. Date, time. Timestamp, date, time, interval. Execute query. Informational. List tables, views, and sequences. Describe table. Birth time. Timestamp without time zone. Which is fine if you interpret it in the right time zone. Timestamp without time zone, with time, defaults to without time zone. Storage size is the same. Date, no time, time of day, no date, times of day with time zone. Okay, so SQL standard. Timestamp Z, Postgres extension. So the data stored seems to be fine. I probably should just set my server to UTC. Config.timezone. Oh, that's an older one. Yeah. Application? Config. Settings and config environments take precedence. Load defaults. API only. Initializers. I mean, I think maybe it would be like initializer's time zone would be. I mean, even like MIME types is, I guess that could become a list. Cores, that's a middleware. Rails dot. So in this context, we have application. I don't know if it accepts that. Okay. Got too much stuff open. P04 not modified. So I need that value. Well, that should be the same thing as we're printing out here, right? GMT. Okay, so that has not done it. Unloading and reloading, redirect, error reporting. We already kind of got that set up. Database time zone. Might have something to do with you. Oh, this then for SQL is also an issue. And I hear I closed that. Timestamp with zone. If I converted that, I could probably... SQL.default time zone. Okay. SQL. Max birth time, 8 UTC. All right. This might actually be a little bit weird here. That's saying cached. Okay, but it now has what we would call a accurate timestamp. So it sent 1300. It was not newer than that. So we were able to send back, so we did have to do a select max. There's some extra stuff here, but like we've got a double limit. So I might want to do some work on the search interface. All right, lives controller. Monuments controller. Oh, oops. So actually this wants to become query. Query. Query.max date. So this is technically going to be 2 queries on a relatively small data set. So maybe it's not worth it there. Uh, 200, okay. Well, it never had the cache information before. So these are all going to return response headers. Last modified. Not big enough. Big server 2. Okay. 304. And 304 not modified. 33 milliseconds. Wasn't it 10 milliseconds? 200 okay, 200 okay. $200 okay. Well, that was weird. So why is server 1, server 2, server 3? Well, the ones that have recent monuments. I guess if it is... Oh, it's providing a default max age. Interesting. So those are all the servers that haven't had a monument in a while. Maybe I need to be overriding max age, actually. Although that, I guess, could also get into some trouble. So we completed 200 in 8 milliseconds, 27 milliseconds. $304 in 91. $304 in 27. 64. Yeah, we're not really saving a whole lot from the looks of things. I mean, I could still take my results and get the max out of that. these might be small enough that we actually want to do the search. So this would be monuments.map. Oh, this is a field of a hash. It's an array of hashes. Oh, it's an array of hashes, so all right, 304, 2 milliseconds, 304, 18. Okay, so the OKs actually had to do some work. 304, 43. 42. And this was 1220. Oh, well. Okay, so maybe it's certain servers are a bit slower. So I really need to do more disciplined profiling, I guess. Oh, we're actually like on top of each other here. And it's maybe some of the way the servers overlay. So it might be, well, if I can make this thing lazy load, the individuals make sense. Right now, just grabbing all the servers would probably make more sense. All right, well, the lives will be a bigger win, I presume. Oh, also, I don't actually know if Rails uses that. So those timestamps would be Foreman. Information at... Because that was an older version. I think this is what we found before. Oh, well, that's active record, but maybe it would be the same? Maybe the logger isn't using Rails time zone. Oh, because actually that is the SQL logger. Oh, okay. Invalid argument. Well, okay, so it appeared to have accepted that. Oh, but if it did, yeah, you know what? We do have to set active record time zone. Because we do some stuff with that. Now, since we're technically using the active record for the data import, I guess I'll just have to watch the next day's records to make sure all that's turning out okay. Hmm. So should I do an initializer's time zone? And does the order of default time zone matter when connecting to things? Config, initializers. So I don't think we need to repeat that. I guess this does break up our SQL stuff, but it seemed kind of weird to have the time zone stuff in two places. Initializers, time zone. I did see it, yeah. Oh, I didn't actually remove this from application. And that white space was not there. Oh, you know, little things like actually performing imports. Time zones and HTTP caching headers. Well, and some of them. And then conceivably, I could either do the data server directly or I can, I'd have to be very careful how I did, if I did a CDN on it. Because we would only want to do any caching on things that return to the cache headers. And real quick, can you lazy load a layer? This is a layer group. Well, it's a group. You could have an empty group. Add to, remove, on add. Create DOM elements for the layer, adds them to the map. So that means this is layer. We want layer group. Oh, right, we did that instead of that. Okay. Evented on add. All right, this might not be. Lazy load of images. Lazy load markers. Is that like all of leaflet? That seems like a raw leaflet checkout. Load markers get, I mean, I'm already kind of doing that. Map.add layer markers layer. Yeah, I want to do an overlay. There's the plugins list. Markers and renderers. Custom layer. Clustering, decluttering. So I may have to create an empty layer, and I just have to figure out how do I trigger something when it gets added. Without showing on map. Put real-time data. Where's the layers control? Just oversimplified. Does layers control? Methods. Yeah. All right, so making that request on demand will be a bit of a research project. I think I would want, well, I mean, it's probably a good thing to do regardless. Because I'm still making requests, they're just all CDN data files. But I would like to eat lunch sometime. So that's going to be it for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everybody who hosted me. Okay, we've got game dev. There's the PHP and Laravel again. There is... Oh! My schedule is not loading right now. Okay. I wonder if that's a API thing or what? This is about when I tend to wrap up. I'll not be on tomorrow. So I should be back coding on Wednesday morning. Yeah, so most similar to this is Brooke Cirker doing some PHP Laravel stuff. If you're looking for someplace cool to hang out, that's someplace cool to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye, and until next time.